Hey everybody, welcome to Off the Show Board Game Reviews. This video is part of a series of videos looking at Deep State. This is a game for 2 to 4 players. It's a worker placement set collection game, and this video is part of a series. In this video itself, I'm actually going to show you some sample gameplay playing a 3-player game between red, yellow, and blue. Now again, I'm playing a 3-player game, so don't expect me to be playing great because this is a very deep strategic game that does require a lot of thinking to play. And I'm sure I'm going to have some pretty poor strategies trying to control 3 players, but at least it gives you an idea of how the game plays. That's enough of the want stuff. Let's bring everything down to the table and start the game of Deep State. Now I have the game set up for a 3-player game, and the very first thing we need to do after all the players get their starting agents, every player starts with 3 agents in their active pool. I'm not going to go over too much of the rules in this video because if you want to learn how to play the game, check out my tutorial video of the game. Again, this video is just going to be a complete gameplay video itself. So once we have everything all set up, the first thing we need to do is every player gets 6 treaty cards. We need to look at all of our treaty cards, pick 4 to keep, playing with the advanced rules, and we'll discard 2. And every single player gets to do this. We're going to look at all 6 of our treaty cards, keep 4, discard 2, and finally look at our treaty cards, keep 4, discard 2. Now I'm not super duper awesome at picking treaty cards that quick. I cheated, or I picked the 4 ones I want in advance. And it's going to give me a rough idea of how I want to play each one of these players. One player is going to be going more for victory points. One player is going to be going more for these center areas. And another player is going to be going directly for the cards here laid out just like it is on the table. So let's see how that works out for me anyways. Now again, this is playing a 3-player game, so we do know to pull out all the 4-player only cards. They will be removed from the game. They will not be used at all. I don't shuffle the World War cards in at the start of the game because if you draw one, you need to shuffle again anyways. So I like to shuffle them in after I have the beginning cards out. Now since it's a 3-player game, we're going to get 8 cards starting on the table in the beginning of the game. So just quickly get out these cards. We're going to start with stock exchanges, labs, governments, real estate, consulates, inner circles, another inner circle. That's an interesting start to everything. And then finally stock exchanges. Now a lot of these concepts on these cards, if you watch the tutorial video, all these symbols are going to make a lot of sense to you. If you haven't watched it, I'll just go quickly over it because I don't expect everybody to watch all 4 of the videos right before watching this video anyways. So this card is going to give you victory points, victory points, victory points, victory points. This is going to give you things that allows you to access these sections of the board. These 2 cards are going to modify other cards, and again, this card over here is going to give you victory points. Again, a very brief overview. Now that we have our starting cards out, let's go ahead and shuffle our World War cards into the deck and see exactly how everything's going to pan out starting in the future rounds. Now through the magic of editing, unless you really want to listen to a whole bunch of cards be shuffled together for a little bit, we're going to cut that out. We're going to go ahead and start right with the game. So the red player is going to start the game. They will have the supervisor, which means they have a limited amount of starting actions. But they do get the 1 first action, which means they get 2 extra agents. Now since I have the supervisor as the red player, there's only 2 locations I can interact with. I can go ahead and interact with the objective cards, or I can work on a covert operation. Now the nice thing is I can actually do a covert operation right at the beginning of the game, but I've already got my treaty cards. I know how the red player wants to play. They actually want to start working on these projects over here, and I specifically got the treaties that allow me to do it because I got some really good card draws with the treaties, and they kind of give me a good incentive to go after those projects because there's going to be a potential for 40 victory points. Now I can't work on that though because I do have that supervisor. So the only thing I do is I can concentrate on these cards right here, and also I work on these covert operations right here. So the first thing I need to decide is exactly what I want to do, remembering what cards and what treaties I have in my hand and what kind of abilities all these treaties are going to give me. Well, if I look at my cards of treaties, and again, you never show the treaties to the other players, we see I have the Federation of Trade Unions, which is going to give me influence with the communists and governments. I have the Anarchists, which is going to give me control and also give me more of these symbols I need to work over here. I have the CIA, and I have the Theosophical Society. So how would I work these cards out best at the start of the game without using too many of my agents? Because again, I'm concentrating on this project right here without the other players knowing it. Now the nice bonus we have right now for the red player is the fact that while we have 5 agents and we have these first 3 cards that we work on towards in the beginning, we know that there's no chance that any of the other players are going to be able to bump us off at least the first round, because we have 5 agents. The max any other player has is 3, because that's the amount of agents you start with. So we know whichever card we go for, we're going to pretty much lock in, so we don't have to stress over it way too much. The thing we need to be very careful though is we don't want to lock in all of our agents in the beginning of the game, because that's definitely going to limit our options. We need to start planning for the future cards that are going to be coming out as we play the game, and the possible victory points and the abilities those are going to unlock for us. So we need to make sure we're planning for that very, very well. So I think the first thing we are going to do is we're just going to go for the stock exchange. That takes 4 agents to send them over there. And that's going to be it for the red player. Let's go ahead and go to the yellow player. Now the yellow player has access to all of the actions since they don't have the supervisor token, which means they can work on operatives, they can work on covert operations, and they can also work on these projects. And of course, they can always just get another agent if they like. Now, future planning, looking at exactly everything that's going to be coming up for this player in the future rounds, we can see what kind of cards will be coming down the line. We can look at what kind of cards we have in our hand and see that we want a lot of blue cards, which means the lab's up ahead, so we want to make sure that we have at least 1 agent when this comes out here, or having the most agents so we can guarantee we have the labs, because we do have lots of treaties that work on getting the labs. That's things we need to work on. So we need to decide exactly how we want to do this and how we want to gain these cards, but also knowing that these cards right here that have the red symbol are going to give us a lot of victory points thanks to what we have right here, and that'll also allow us to unlock this. So as the yellow player, we know that we want to get this card, and we want to guarantee we get this card, which means we need agents. So that means our only action as the yellow players, we're going to get another agent, and that's it for the yellow player's turn. Finally, we come over to the blue player. Now, the blue player's treaties is they have a lot of cards which are going to allow them to get lots more treaties and get lots more treaties into play if they balance correctly and if they plan correctly and do exactly what they need to do. So they don't have as much of a focus on agents as the other players do right at the start of the game. So they need to figure out a way to get more agents, because they want to start doing things that's going to work with their treaties and also allow them to get more cards. So in a very nice, simple way, that just simply means that we are going to go towards the United Nations, or we're going to go over here to get the extra secret agent. We need to figure out exactly what we want to do, and it's actually an easy decision for us. We want to go for the extra secret agents, which is going to give us more power to get these cards here in the future. That's it for the blue player's turn. That's the end of the first round, and since we still have cards here, we're going to pull our cards over here. Red player gets to get all the cards. 1 other agent comes off of that card, and the other 3 agents are locked down on this card just for the time being. They should be able to lock them as the time goes on, but that's it for that. They've removed their agent. The supervisor token moves over 1 space, and now the yellow player gets to be the supervisor, which means they get 2 agents to add onto their stack. They now have 6 agents and a lot of decisions on exactly what they want to do. So the yellow player has 2 things that they really want to work towards right now. They want to work towards the consulates because they want to work on 2 projects. They want to work on a project that's going to allow them to work into the deep state, which is going to give them lots of bonuses, and the ability to play some of these treaty cards that they have in their hands and get some extra treaty cards out on the board without needing to meet the requirements of those treaty cards. So that's part of the strategy they want to do, which means they want to get this card right here as quickly as possible. And they can't work on this section yet because they are currently in control of the supervisor. So basically we know that they're going to work on a objective, or they're going to work on a covert operation. But we know what objective we want. This card right here requires at least 3. We know that none of the other players can take that directly from them, so they don't need to send all their agents towards that. So thinking smartly, know what the other players have. They know they don't need to worry about it. They'll send 3 agents over there, and now we get to move over to the blue player. The blue player has 2 agents effectively right now, and they need more agents. So there's some action is going to be to take another agent. That's it for the blue player. Now we come over to the red player, and he's figure out exactly what they want to do. They only have 2 agents right now. We know they want to work over here on this section right here, so it's an easy decision for us. We'll send both of our agents right here as the cost. 1 will stay down there to continue to track that section on the board, and that'll give us also a ghost agent ending the red player's turn. That's the end of the second round, or second turn. We're still in the first round. So yellow will take this card right here. 1 of the agents comes off into the pool, and now they have this card as part of their little secret empire for them to decide exactly what they want to do. And again, this card can be spent if they want to work towards the deep state, or they can keep the card, which is going to allow them to work on the Unified Nations project. Now we start the third turn. The supervisor is going to move over to the blue player, who effectively has 3 agents to work with thanks to the fact that they do have a ghost agent. And there's a couple different things they work on. We know that we need yellow for the Federal Reserve, so it's going to be a no-brainer that we're going to go after real estate. We don't want that to be taken from us from any other players. The only other player who could take it from us is yellow. So we need to figure out what exactly is yellow planning on doing. We don't know what yellow's plan is yet, and we only have 3 agents thanks to our 1 ghost agent. So at the start of the blue player's turn, the first thing we need to do, because we do have the supervisor, let's not forget, is take our 2 free agents, which brings us up to a total of 5. So now we know we don't have to worry about any competition. We also know that inner circle cards are extremely valuable because they can duplicate, or I should say multiply your resources, and they can also multiply your victory point income. So they're a pretty good card to have. I probably should have bought them earlier, but I'm trying to show you as much gameplay as possible. Again, not playing to the best, just showing you all the possible actions in the game. So having said that, the easiest thing to do is just to take and go ahead and claim the inner circle. Now there's a couple different ways you can play this game, and I'll cover this in the rule tutorial video, but when it comes to your ghost agents, you can actually play them on the card when you're first learning how to play the game, when you haven't quite gotten the grasp of how the cards and all the pawns work together. Or you can just simply keep your ghost agents right in front of you, and remember that you effectively have your ghost agents plus the amount of agents on these current objectives that you're working on. So whichever way you do, just make sure you're pretty consistent so you don't forget. I'm at the point now where I don't actually place my ghost agents out there. So if I forget to do it, it's just because I don't do it all the time, because I just do the simple math. So having said that, we effectively have 5 units or 5 agents over on this inner circle. That's the blue player's action. Their turn is done. Now over to the red player. The red player has 1 ghost agent. Unfortunately, ghost agents cannot go to locations alone. They need to have at least 1 agent going with them. So our options are pretty darn limited for the red player this time. We are simply going to go ahead and claim 1 agent, and then we'll move over to the yellow player, who wants to figure out exactly what they want to do. We know that they want to go ahead and claim one of these inner circles, or possibly one of these other resources based on the treaties cards they have. We know that looking at our treaties cards, we know that we need a yellow card, we need a red card, and a blue card. We have no cards in front of us. This one requires a whole bunch of science cards. This card right here requires at least 1 government and at least 1 communist symbol. And then the final one requires at least 2 science cards or 1 researches card. Well, that kind of lets us know what we want to work towards. We know that we want this card, and we know we want this card. So let's just go ahead and simply claim the real estate card, knowing there's no other players going to be coming after us, because this is the last turn of this round, or this last turn for this part of the round. So we know we can easily claim the real estate's card just by sending out 1 agent. That's all the actions for all of our players. So the players who have claimed cards will simply take their cards into their areas. And after we do that, we will take 1 agent off of all of our objectives, 1 agent off, 1 agent off, and then the supervisor tokens will move over to the rotate to the next player, and then we'll advance the cards. We'll know these are the 3 cards we have to work towards now, and the red player is the first player. First thing red does is they get 2 agents added to their pool, and they need to figure out exactly what they want to do. Now red has a very interesting strategy that they're trying to work on as they're playing the game. They need a government's card, but they don't need a government's card right now because they have the anarchist card, which prevents them from playing this card once they get a government. So our objective is to play this card first, and then we want to play the Federation of Trade Unions, which requires a government card. So knowing that, we know that this card can't be played yet, so these are the 3 cards we're working towards, and that's going to kind of influence what kind of actions we want to be doing. So we know that we want to be advancing on this track as quickly as possible. We know that that means that we want to get as many of these symbols as we want, which means that we eventually want to get inner circle cards. So having thought through that thought process, we're going to go ahead and claim this inner circle card. Now we're looking at the other players, and we know that there's no way that any of the other players can take it. And again, like I said earlier, I don't play the ghost agents out there. Just know that we actually have 5 agents on this card. And actually, since this is a tutorial video, why don't I make life simple on you guys and show the simple math of how it works. That's 5 agents on that card. That's the red player's action. Now we go to the yellow player. The yellow player knows that they need to get some certain cards right now and some certain resources. And we know that there's certain treaties that they are working towards also. We know that they need blue, and we got the yellow we need. So the first thing we need to do is get red, and we also need to get blue. So we will simply take this lab and figure out how many resources we want to send towards it. If we send only 2 resources towards it, we can pretty much guarantee we're going to get it. So we're going to send that many resources to it, and that's going to lock that down. And now we get to go over to the blue player. Now remember, the blue player has a couple of different strategies they're working towards. and they also want to start making sure they have enough agents out there. So it's probably a good idea right now to take this agent right here, sacrifice him over to the United Nations, which is going to allow him to pull back one extra agent every single round. So that means we're going to get 2 agents back. So that's going to speed back the rate we're getting back our agents. So it's a pretty good strategy for them at this point. That's it for all of our players. The red player is going to claim their card. Quickly take our 2 agents off. The yellow player will take their card, take their agents off. And then finally, we're going to come over to the blue player, who thanks to the Unified Nations is going to take 2 other agents off the card instead of just 1. And that'll be it. We'll advance the Supervisor token to the yellow player, and then yellow player is going to start the next turn taking 2 agents as their action, or as their free action. So now we need to figure out exactly what we want to do, knowing there's only 2 cards left, knowing what treaties we're trying to work towards, and knowing what kind of resources we currently possessed. So we could do a couple different things right here, and I think the easiest thing we're going to do is we're actually just going to work on some free victory points, or we're going to work on the government, or we're going to work on stock exchanges. Again, looking at the cards we have, we know we do need a couple different resources, so that I'm actually thinking that this stock exchange is going to be the best card for us to take right now at this point, because we are simply trying to get a certain amount of cards in play, and that's the resources we really want to get these treaties, which are going to give us a lot of victory points. So we are going to take, looking at the other players, looking at the amount of agents they have left, we could put out 2, but there's a chance that the blue player could steal the stock exchange from us. So we're going to hedge our bets, and we're going to put out 3 agents out here for the stock exchange. Now we're going to go over to the blue player, who has active access to, oops, math is hard today, I need to put out 4. So the blue player needs to put out, or has 3 agents. They can't take either one of these cards at all. So we know that limits our options, so we're either going to take an agent, which allows us to have more options at the start of the next round, or we can start working towards some of these projects out here right now. The blue player for their turn wants to have agents, because agents gives you the ability to always get these cards out here in the objective stack, and you don't want to have no agents, because then the other players are going to get the cards that you need to get these treaties out there. So knowing that, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to keep working on our stockpile of agents. That way when this round ends and next round starts, we're ready to have a lot of agents to start claiming the cards we really want. Now the red player knows that they have a card they need to get into play. They have a treaty card that a lot of their strategy is kind of being based on right now, and they know that they want to get that treaty card out there as quickly as possible, especially before the end of the round. So that means that they are going to go ahead and work on spyware. Now the nice thing about having spyware is that it's going to allow them the option to start buying a bigger stack of cards than the other players, because generally in the game you only get access to the first 3 cards in a row. Once you start working on the spyware project, you can start picking out for more cards, which means you don't have to have all these agents, and you have a bigger option of cards, which prevents the other players from taking the cards away from you when you want those cards. So that's a long-winded way of saying that we are going to take level 1 in espionage. This agent's going to go back to our recruitment pool, and that is going to be it for all of our players. That's the end of this turn. So any cards that are claimed to be taken back by our players, we will each get an agent back from all of our stacks that we have access to. This player now has 4 agents, and that's going to be it for this turn. The supervisor is going to move over, and we can pretty much guarantee that this is going to be the last turn of this round here at least. So the first thing that happens is blue is going to get 2 of their agents. We now have a total of 6 with our nice little ghost agent, which means we could go get some nice free victory points right now, but we know which cards we have in our hand, and we know exactly what we need to do to get these cards into play, and we know that we need to get that government, and we need to guarantee that we are going to get it. So we need to look at what the other players have. We know that yellow only has 5 agents, so we could easily send 4 agents over here to this, plus our ghost agent, guaranteeing that we are going to get this government card, and guarantee that no other player is going to take it from us. Over here to the red player, we have a couple different options. Now remember, what we have been thinking about strategically, thinking about the things that we need to do, and thinking about these treaty cards that we want to get into play, we know that eventually we need to start getting this deep state, which is going to allow us to get the treaties out that we want into play. So we are simply going to take the gain an agent action, and then we're going to go over to the yellow player, who has a couple different options, a couple different things they could be doing, and they are just going to go ahead and look for its nice, simple, easy victory points. They're going to send all 5 of their agents over here, and they're going to eliminate an obstacle, and that's it for all of our players. Blue is going to claim this card right here, and I'll move these over just to make sure we're not going to make mistakes about who owns which cards. Blue gets 2 agents back because of the nice ability they have from the Unified Nations. Yellow is going to gain 1 agent because they don't have anything on Unified Nations. And then the red player is going to get 1 simple agent only. That is going to be it for all of our players. That is actually going to be it for the end of the round. And these agents are sacrificed for the greater good of the victory points. That's it for the end of the round. Now we need to go to the treaties phase for every single one of our players. And all of our players need to figure out if they are able to get any of their treaties into play based on the actions they've taken during this turn. Unfortunately, none of our players can get any of their treaties cards into play. I know because I know what treaty cards in every one of these players' hands, and I know what objectives I'm working for. Now, we could have in the first round, the yellow player could have actually gained one of their treaty cards into play by using deep state, since we could actually pay for it. So that was a possibility, but that's not part of the strategy we're working towards. So we're simply going to end round number 1, start round number 2 by filling out our infiltration row right here. Again, 8 cards because we're playing a 3-player game. So the first card we are going to get is real estate. I know who wants real estate really badly, the blue player. Next up we have researchers, which the blue player also wants very badly because of some of the trees they have. Next we have is ruling parties. I know a lot of players are going to want that because that's going to allow them to purchase into the deep state, which allows you to start playing treaties. So that's a very powerful card for all of our players right now. We have 1 world war. That's going to make this round very, very interesting. We have a labs card. Our 6th card is mass media. That's a card that a lot of players are going to want. We have banks, and then the final card we have is going to be consulates, which is also a card that a lot of our players want, especially the yellow player right now, because they want to get that extra star, which is going to allow them to work towards Unified Nations, which is going to be very, very powerful indeed for the yellow player, looking at the treaties they have and the possible victory points they're going to have towards the end of the game. So now that we have World War in effect, always remember, you don't replace the World War card when it comes in effect. We're simply going to shrink our card row down, letting us know that we only have access to 7 cards to purchase this round. And at the very start of the round, this token, the supervisor, is going to move over to the red player. Let's go and start their turn with the red player. Now remember, the red player, knowing the trees cards they have in their hand, they need 3 of these red symbols, and I don't see any out for them right now, but they need 3 symbols, or as an option they can even get the deep state, which is the other thing that they're going to work towards. So if they can lock down the consulates, they will get the anarchist card into play this turn, which is going to make them very, very happy. So that is exactly what the red player is going to work towards. They're going to throw everything they have at the consulates, guaranteeing that they get this card. So we will put down our ghost agent, we will put down our 4 other agents, and actually we don't even need to put out all 4 of the agents. And before I do anything, I need to make sure I take my 2 free agents, but the most any other player can put out is 4, so we just need to make sure that we put out 3 of our agents, which is going to lock in the consulate. So we have our 3 agents plus our ghost agent is a total of 4. No other player can take that card for us, so we're doing very good, and we are going to get that anarchist card, treaty card, into play very, very quickly. Now we got to move over to the yellow player. Now the yellow player, remember the tactics that they're working towards. They have the KGB, which is requiring a government and the symbol. They have their World Trade Organization, which requires red, yellow, and blue. We have the yellow. Actually, we don't. We need the banks. So we need banks very, very badly. So looking right there, we know we need banks. That's one thing we're going to work towards right now. We know that we need lots of blue for this one right here. We have the labs, but we don't have the other 2 requirements we have right there. And then finally, this one just takes 2 blue of any kind. So we know that if we take the researchers as yellow, and if we take the banks as yellow, we know we're going to be doing very, very good. But let's not forget that right now, all of our various different projects are being affected by the World War, which means we need 1 extra agent, but 1 less resource. So all of our players are considering the fact that they can advance on these tracks very, very easily. Basically, any player right now can get to the 2nd stage of any one of these projects very, very quickly and very, very easily, thanks to this World War. So all of our players need to factor that into their strategies. But having said that, the yellow player needs banks. They're going to throw all 2 other agents at the banks, hoping that the other players don't bump them off, and hoping the other players don't have any needs for those banks right now. Now we're going to come over to the blue player. We know that they need green. We know that they need red, and I already know which one I'm going for. I'll show you why here in a second. We know they need blue, and we also know that they need lots of yellow. So those are the 2 things that blue needs right now. They're not going to be able to get that banks. Well, we could, but we need this mass media much, much more, because we have a treaties that's going to use that mass media, and that's definitely something we want to do. So we are simply knowing that the other players have already gone, we'll simply just send one agent to mass media very happily, and that's going to end that part of the round. All the players will go ahead and claim all the cards that they purchased, and they'll go into every single player's pile, and we'll work on getting back some of our agents thanks to all the purchases that we've made. So blue gets to take all 3 other agents back, because remember, blue has got the Unified Nations, 1 from each card plus their bonus from Unified Nations. Yellow's going to gain 2 agents back from the 2 cards that have agents left on it. And then finally red is also going to gain 2 agents, 1 from the consulates and 1 from the inner circle. That is going to be it. We'll simply slide the cards over, and we'll be ready to start the second turn of the second round. And all our players need to figure out their strategies, what they want to do. So starting the next turn, the first thing that moves over, of course, is the Supervisor, which means that yellow gets 2 agents added to their pool. And yellow knows exactly what they want to do, because they need researchers very, very badly, thanks to the card that they have in their hand. Now, technically, researchers is not mandatory, but if they get researchers, 2 of their treaties are going to be purchasable, which is going to be a lot better than just getting labs. So they look at everything the other players are doing, and they know that blue can bump them off of any card. We know that red can bump them off of any card. So it doesn't really matter how many agents they put out there. They just need to hope that the card they're going for is not the same card that the other players are going for. So they're going to simply hope beyond hope and go for the researchers and hope that nobody else wants the researchers. That's a lot of hope. Let's hope it pans out. Okay, bad pun. Now we go over to the blue player. We know that the blue player actually just wants the labs, so it's going to work out perfectly. They automatically send over 1 agent. And remember, Ghost Agent always goes over with you, so we effectively have 2 agents over on the slabs, meaning that if the red player wants to take it, they need to send out at least 3 agents. Well, the red agent doesn't want that. They actually just want the ruling parties, because that is going to get them the ability to do exactly what they need to do on this turn, which is start working towards the deep state, thanks to that wonderful world war that is now going on. So that's it for all of our players. All our players get to claim their cards. Blue is going to claim their labs. Yellow player is going to claim their researchers, making them very, very happy. And then finally, the red is going to claim their ruling parties, also making them very happy. Then all of our players will take the agents off of any cards that they may be able to. Looking at this, it looks like all our players now have a lot of agents. We know there's only 1 card left in the row here, which means that this is also going to be end of this round very, very quickly. So knowing that, our players better take advantage of this World War if they want to use it on these projects, and they definitely do, but we need to start that with the blue player, who's going to gain 2 agents thanks to the Supervisor, and they're going to start this part of the turn. So now the blue player, looking at everything they have, looking at the deep state, and looking at the fact that they want these treaties in their hand, they want to get these treaties into play as quickly as possible. We are going to figure out exactly what we want to do, and we're going to figure that out very, very quickly. So we want to work towards the deep state. Now, deep state at this point is now going to require 2 agents, because we have the World War in effect. So we're going to send 1 agent over there to be part of that effect going on right there. Remember, ghost agents can never go over to a project. Ghost agents can only work towards your objectives and your covert operations. So that means we do have to spend 2 agents instead of the regular 1. So 1 will be discarded, go back into our recruitment pool. The other one will go out here to be on our secret societies. We do need to spend 2 normally, but since we do have the World War in effect, we only need to spend 1. This card right here is going to go into the discard pile. And we have now effectively spent the 2, which means we now get to draw a treaty card. And then we get to put a treaty into play. Now let's make sure this new treaty is not a super duper cool one. Let's see here. Ooh, that's a really good one, but we don't want to use that one yet. So we are going to take that one, and we are going to put one of our cards into play now. Ooh, so many options. So many options. So we are going to go ahead and play the Kabbalist Treaty card. And this is going to allow us to reveal the top 7 cards in the treaty deck and put 1 in your hand, or put in your hand all the trees with a spy's emblem or science card in the upper right corner, and then shuffle the rest back into the deck. So we're going to reveal 7 of these, and we're looking for the spy's emblem or the science card. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, there's a spy. and 7. So we were able to get 1 out of that total stack, which wasn't too bad. We have the Spies emblem right here. We didn't get any science ones. I don't see any science ones right here. Nope, so we did not get any science ones. So these will simply be shuffled back into the deck, and I'm going to cheat, put them on the bottom just to make this go a little quicker. Normally you'd actually shuffle them back into the deck. But this one will go into our hand, and this one is actually pretty darn cool because we are just about almost able to put this treaty into play. So this treaty that we spent, the Cabalist, is actually worth 4 victory points for us in the game, so that's not bad at all. That will be it for the blue player's turn. We now get to go over to the red player, who is going to do something very similar. They're going to go ahead and use this card right here to pay for this deep state. 2 agents cost, 1 will go back into the discard pile, and they will draw a treaty, and they will look through their hand, and we already know which one we want to put into play. We're going to put the Anarchist into play, and the Anarchist says that you may discard up to 2 mass control cards at the end of any treaty phase. At the end of the game, I'm going to gain 3 victory points for every single mass control card in the discard pile, which means right now red already has 6 victory points because we do have 2 mass control cards in the discard pile already. So that works out greatly for our benefits. That's actually really darn nice already for the red player. So now we come over to the yellow player, and the yellow player is also going to go ahead and take advantage of this World War, and they're going to spend the 2 agents right here. 1 will go back to their pool right over here, and then we could spend this card, which we really do not want to do. We could spend the stock exchange, which is the one we think we are actually going to spend. And actually, you know what? I am going to do something a little bit differently, just so you can see all the potential options you can do in the gameplay. We are not going to work towards that deep state. We're going to lose the advantage of this World War. Probably not the best decision, but this is going to allow you to see a lot more gameplay potential. And also it's going to allow us to have a little bit more fun here because we actually can put trees into play. So this is not going to be a super benefit to us. It's actually probably better for us just to go ahead and claim real estate, which is what we'll do. That's it for all of our players. We will claim the real estate. It'll come back over into our stack right here. And just make things super darn simple, since all these cards are only a single victory point for us right at this point. We will not get any agents over here. So that's it for all of our players. We have all of our trees into play, and that is going to be the end of this round. We now get to go to the treaty phase. Now, we'll start with the blue player just for simplicity. We'll see if there's any treaties that we can put into play. And we can't quite do it just yet. There's a treaty we want to get into play, but we can't do it quite yet. So blue will pass. We'll come over to the red player to see if they can get any treaties into play, and I don't think they can, if I remember my hand correctly. We cannot. We're almost there. We almost just need 1 more peacekeeper symbol, and then we can definitely do it. So we're getting very, very close right there. But over here for a yellow player, we can definitely put 1 in play. And since we have the researchers, we are going to go ahead and put into play the Thule Society. This says that every time you level up on to any stage 2, 3, 4, or 5 on a project, take any secondary science card. So the science cards are going to be worth a lot of victory points for us at the end of the game. So we know that we, as the yellow player, want to focus on science cards as much as possible because they're going to start multiplying on themselves for lots of extra victory points. That's the end of the second round. Let's go ahead and start the third round and see if we're going to have another World War. So the first thing we need to do is we need to reveal cards. We have a spy agent that we know that the red player definitely wants because, nope, not the red player. Who was it who needed to? I lost track. Who needed the second spy? Actually, I think it was the red player. I'll double check my trees in a second. Next one we have is we have the authorities. Then we have more authorities. Number 4 we have is patents, and I know yellow needs that card badly. We have real estate. We have researchers. I believe blue needs researchers. Next up we have universities. I think everybody needs universities. And then finally we're going to have another universities, which is great because I know a lot of people need these universities. So let's go ahead and move this over here, and we'll start with our 2 agents that the red player gets to take. The red player, for their turn, they're going to start working on this project right here, which is going to allow them to start working towards a lot of victory points, especially if we can get all the way to the end of the track. And I think we can do it as long as we play very smart. That's 40 victory points. And in this game, getting 40 victory points can be a major difference because endgame scoring about 80 to 90 victory points is actually pretty darn good in a 3-player game. So that would be halfway to our victory point total right there. So that's something definitely we want to look forward to. So it's going to be an easy decision for us for the red player. We are simply going to spend 3 agents. Again, there's no World War in effect, and we can easily afford these 3 agents. That will allow us to march up 1 star or 1 spot on the project board, that's going to give us another ghost agent. So that's actually going to pretty much pay for itself and allow us to make sure that we can start getting all the cards we need, especially since we know that we want this spy agency card without telling the other players, because if we get that spy agency card, we can get this CIA card into play, especially if nobody takes one of these universities. And we don't know what's going to happen. Maybe we should look at the universities first, but let's go ahead and see what's going to happen. Let's go ahead and move over to the yellow player. Yellow player needs cards over here, and if I remember correctly, I do believe that they need the patents, which is this card right here. They can't get the patents card yet, but they are pretty close in everything else they need. So we will simply look to see we need governments, we need patents, looking at our future victory points and the things we're trying to do. So what exactly do we want to do for the yellow player to make sure we get the most amount of victory points going? I think what we are going to do, seeing that we have no symbols here, we could work towards a World Nations project, which would allow them to get these treaties into play, but I think there's going to be a smarter way for us to do this. And remembering that we are going to get lots of victory points anytime we move up on these tracks. We're going to get to claim science cards, which is going to be victory points for us. So let's easily just figure out what we want to do, because I'm doing a lot of talking but not a lot of doing, because there's so many options you can do in this game. There's lots of strategies going on here, which is one of the cool things about the game itself. So focusing is the best thing you want to do. You want to be a little bit broad in your strategies, because not every card in the game is going to be available. You're going to miss about 1 or 2 cards before the end of the game that will not be played. So don't base your entire strategy on one single card coming into play, but we can definitely hedge our bets towards a good strategy that's going to work for us, depending on the cards we happen to have in play right now. And I'm still stalling because I forgot the card we need. Again, we need patents. Let's make sure I don't forget that we need patents. So seeing that we need patents, seeing that we are going to be loving blue cards very, very quickly, I think we're simply going to send out one agent on to researchers, and hopefully we won't be bumped off of that. Now we'll come over to the blue player. Again, looking at all the things we have, remembering exactly what we want to be doing as the blue player. We know that we are, oh, that's an easy decision for us. Since there's nobody else who's going to work against it for us, we are simply going to take these universities right here, which is going to allow us to get the symbol we need. That's going to allow us to move deeper onto the deep state. Now remember, technically this goes over here, but it's the last action of the round, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. All of our players will take their cards back that they managed to purchase, and this player gains that. This player gains this agent, and that's it for all of our players. This is simply going to advance on the track, and that goes there. Move these cards down so we can see exactly what we have to purchase here. And remember, I believe this player wants the patents card very, very badly, and luckily they get first choice and they get 2 free agents. So they want to make sure that they get this patents card and nobody's going to take that patent away from them. So they're going to look at what everybody else has, know that red has 6, blue has access to 6, so we need to hope that they're not going to take the patent. So at this point we need to put 6 of our agents out there to guarantee we get the patents, or we just hope that they're not going to steal it from us and hope that's not exactly what they want. Well, let's not hope at all. Let's guarantee we get the patent. So we'll send all 6 of our agents down there, which, yes, it telegraphs our intentions, but it guarantees that we are going to get that patent. So now we're going to look over here at the blue player, and remembering exactly what they need. I believe they need authorities, if I don't remember correctly. Yes, we need authorities very, very badly for the blue player. So we need to figure out a way to get the authorities card, and remembering that that's going to double any symbols that we have. So let's really play smartly and figure out exactly how we want to do this. So we have access to 6 agents, really nice. We know that we want that authorities card really, really badly, so we want to make sure that we're not going to overthrow our agents out there and commit ourselves to something that we really don't want to do. Let's go ahead and diversify just a little bit here, because we seem to be focusing on not having a lot of cards. And it could behoove us to have yellow, right? Yes, we need yellow. So we're simply going to send one agent over here to real estate, and we will claim the real estate card. And red, I know, needs university, so he will simply send one agent to the universities, and that's it for all of our players. Blue is going to take back this very, very expensive card that they definitely guarantee that they locked in. We'll get one agent back into our stack. Blue will take this card right here. Again, working towards our trees, that goes back in the stack there. And then red will take this. This goes right here. We now have our stock exchange. We now have our universities, and each one of our players will get back their ghost agents. And that's it. Now we advance this over here. Player gains 2, and now we need to figure out exactly what the blue player wants to do. Well, I know what the blue player wants to do. They need that authority, at least one of those authority cards, and it doesn't really matter which one they take. They just need to hope that the other players don't take it away from them. So looking at what red has potential of 6 agents. Let's go ahead and guarantee that, well, actually there's 2 authorities. We don't need to worry about it. Let's just send 2 agents, which is enough to guarantee that yellow doesn't take one of them from us. That's all we need to worry about. We don't need to throw all of our agents out there and lock them into things that they cannot do. We now go over to the red player. And the red player, I believe, is working on governments, right? I need governments. I got the universities. I have the stock exchange, so I'm looking really good right there. I need the spy agency very, very badly. So we are going to guarantee we get the spy agency. 1 agent plus our 2 ghost agents guarantees that we don't need to worry about yellow taking that card away from us. And then finally, we will go over here to the yellow player, and if I remember correctly, I need banks. I got that. I need mass media, and that is all I need in government. That's actually looking really, really fantastic for us. So I am thinking that yellow is looking very well, and yellow wants to go over here so they start getting these nice bonuses from this over here that says every time they level up, they get to take a secondary science card. So we are simply going to take Unified Nations, which allows us to take back more of our agents, which is good since we lock so darn many of our agents into the patents card anyways. So that's it for all of our players. Blue will take the authorities, which is what they needed very badly. They'll get both of their agents back because they do have one over here on peace initiatives. Red will take this science card right here, the spy agency, and they'll get this agent back. And then at this point, we are going to put our inner circle onto our consulates, which is something we've been waiting on for a while. Now we have 2 peacekeepers, which makes us happy. We now have our 1 spy, which makes us very happy also. And we still have 1 card left, so we still have 1 possible turn at least left to this round. We'll gain 2 of our agents for the red player. And let's figure out what we want to do with all of our players here. So the red player for their turn, they are going to claim only 1 agent because they don't have any more in their pool, even though the supervisor would allow them to take 2 agents otherwise. And we are simply going to, I think we're going to go ahead and take advantage of our spy agency before we sell that card off. And we will move over here to the espionage level 2, which allows us to purchase more cards. That's going to cost us 2 agents, not a big deal for us. The yellow player, realizing their predicament, is going to claim an agent. And then the blue player, on their turn, they are going to take the authorities because they need it for one of their trees they have in their hand. That was a pretty easy action for all of our players. Red will claim the authorities. This agent will come back right here. Yellow is on the Unified Nations, so that means they're going to gain 2 other agents back. Red has no agents out here on any of the cards, so we don't need to worry about that. That's going to be the end of this round, and now we get to go to the treaty phase on this round. Let's make this easy. Let's just go ahead and start with red. Red needed a few different things, get a couple different cards into play based on some of the things they want to do. We know we want to get this Federation of Trade Unions card into play really bad, which means we need a government. We know there's at least 1 more government card in there, so we're not stressing about that one too much right now. I think what we're going to do is we're going to play this World Court card, which is the reason why I did this inner circle earlier when I did it. Since the inner circle has doubled the amount of peacekeeper power I have on my consulates, I'll put the World Court card into play, which is funny because I have my anarchist and my World Court. Hey, it makes sense somewhere. Anyways, World Court says every time you put an agent on a finance, which is a yellow card, or on a key connections, which is a purple card, you may advance in a project as a free action as long as the requirements are met. Now, see how we've been working towards these projects, and this World Court card, it's almost like we planned it from the beginning. Maybe I did. So we'll put that card into play, and next we're going to go over here to the yellow player, who need that patents card very, very badly to get the treaty card into play, which allows them to say, we're going to get +1 influence for each supreme power card we have, which is green. We're also going to get +2 influence for each universities card we also have in play. So we know that we want universities, and 2 of them are already out, so we need to be very careful, make sure we're claiming those as quickly as possible, because those are victory points we're giving up if we don't start taking those universities back. And then finally, we're going to go over to the blue player who wanted to get their military group card into play, which is going to give them some more treaty options. So we will play this card. It is 4 free victory points in the game. Requirement is 2 red, which we do have. It says reveal the top 7 cards in the treaty deck. Put in your hand all the trees with a communist emblem or mass control card in the upper right corner. Shuffle the rest back in the deck. So we're looking for any communist symbols or mass control. So red or red, and that's a free 4 victory points for us. So let's go ahead and pull out 7 cards again. We have 1, not it, 2, there's 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So not too bad. We will gain 2 cards out of that. I'll put them over here and I'll look at those in just a moment. Actually, one of them I'll look at right now, which is going to be very good. Nice. That should be easy. Wait. Interesting. That should be an interesting way to change up our strategy. All these cards will go in the discard pile. Again, we should shuffle them, and actually I'm going to go ahead and do that now, so these will be brought back into play as quickly as possible. I know it's a pretty terrible shuffle, but hey, it's going to work right now. That's it for the turn. Let's go ahead and start advancing the objectives deck here. We have 1 patent, 2 valuables, 3 inner circle, 4 labor unions, 5 is government. Now remember, we have people needing those government cards very badly. 6 is valuables, 7 is ruling parties, and our 8th card is going to be the crime syndicate. Now that gives us all a lot of options, and now we're going to start seeing the players going after a lot of cards very, very quickly, because some of these cards are worth a lot of victory points to our players. So now our players have a lot of options, and we're seeing that we're starting into the later rounds of the game, and we're starting to see a lot of our strategies evolve. Players are getting their treaties cards. They're starting to affect the things they're trying to do to get the victory points to try to win the game. So starting with the yellow player, because they're going to get the supervisor, and they're going to gain 2 agents for free out of it. Now we know as a yellow player, we need that government's card. We can't get it because we only bet on the first 3 cards. So we are thinking that because of that reason, we're going to go for espionage level 1, because then we can start bidding for the higher rank cards, which is something that red can definitely do. Red can go all the way up to the first 5 cards that they want, thanks to the special powers that they have. Now they weren't towards the spyware project, so red actually has some bonuses right there. So yellow would love to get that. So that's going to be a future thought they have. So they are going to look at everything they can do right now, know how many agents they can pull back from here, and know what kind of cards they need right here, looking at everything that is available to them right now. So we need to figure out a way to get our multipliers going to work in our favor, and we need a few good things to help us work towards that end right now. So looking at that, looking at everything we want to do, we as the yellow player are going to take, let's see here. See, again, like I say, there's lots of strategies in this game. That's what makes this game very, very fun. I could go 2 different ways with this. I could go towards the ruling parties and get some multipliers thanks to the cards I have in my hand, or I can go towards the crime syndicate, which can give me some victory points as long as I start getting some more red cards, which I don't have a lot of. Now it requires you to have red, yellow, and blue. We see that I have lots of yellow, lots of blue, but I have no red. So if I can get an engine building lots of red, this crime syndicate's card could be worth 3, 6, 9, 12, or even 15. Well, I guess right now if I had 3 red cards, it'd be worth 9 victory points right then. So that is actually really darn nice. So I could get crime syndicates, but I need to get ruling parties. But if I get ruling parties, I may not get crime syndicates. So that's my quandary I have to go for right now. So I'm thinking I'm going to go for crime syndicates, and hopefully, knowing what's left in the deck and knowing there are some more red cards coming, I am going to do that as my strategy. So I'm going to put 4 agents down here for my crime syndicates. That works out good for yellow. Now we see that blue is going to take their turn. I believe blue also needed crime syndicates very, very badly, if I remember correctly. And yes, they do. So now we're going to get to see how 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're not at the maximum yet. We're going to see somebody get bumped. So we have 1 plus 4 agents is going to bump the yellow player off. The yellow player is going to be bumped off, get all their agents back. Their consolation prizes, they are going to get this treaty right here. And that will be it for the blue player's turn. And now we get to go over to the red player, who I believe needs governments, if I remember correctly. Yep, I need governments. So we're going to go after the governments. The nice thing is, since I have espionage level 2, I can go all the way up to the first 5 cards. I also need labor unions. If I remember correctly, no, I don't need labor unions. Oh, yes, I do. Wait. I thought I needed labor unions. 1, 2, yes, I need labor units, so I wasn't getting that wrong. So I need governments and I need labor units. I want to get governments because I need a lot more than I need labor units at this point. So I'll simply send my 1 worker over to my government, plus the 2 shadow agents, which allows me to guarantee I'm going to get that card, and now we get the resolve. So blue will get this crime syndicate after experiencing a wonderful bout of gravity, and then 1 of those will come back, and we will get our secret agent back. Red will get this government card that they needed very badly. They'll get the 1 agent back, plus the 2 secret agents, or the shadow agents, back. And yellow, unfortunately, got bumped. They didn't get much, but they did get a nice treaty, which, ooh, that is really, really nice. That kind of gives us directive on exactly what we want to do, if I am not mistaken. I know exactly what we're going to do. Wow, that's actually really darn powerful. That can be very, very mean. And it's free victory points. I like that. So, that is it for all of our players' turn. Let's go ahead and slide this down so we can advance all of our objectives. And we see we have an inner circle, and now I have so many decisions on what I want to do and lots of options, but let's go ahead and go to the blue player. Blue player has no agents to recruit, and we have 5 agents to work with right now. That is not going to allow us to get that card right there, and I know exactly what we needed for ourselves. Did we need the ruling party? Again, I got cheat and check, make sure I'm actually playing smart. I got the crime syndicate, I got that, and I believe that is exactly what I need. So let's see here. Yep, that is exactly what I need. So we are going to go after the valuables, looking at what everybody else has and making sure we are not going to get bounced off of it. Yellow might want valuables, but we don't know what yellow's going for. Red might need valuables, so let's go ahead and figure out how much we want to put forward towards this card. I am thinking that we are going to take 2 agents plus 1 ghost agent to go for the valuables right there. Now we're going to go over here to the red, who I believe needs labor unions, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, they need labor unions. We'll take 2 of our ghosts, and then we'll take 3 of our agents right there like that. And then the yellow player didn't like what happened to them when they didn't have access to spyware earlier, and they saw how badly that can affect them. So they are going to go ahead and put 2 agents towards spyware right now. And this one's going to go back in their stack, and that's going to be it for their turn. Red player is going to claim this card. 1 agent goes right there. And then the blue player is going to claim this card, the valuables. And I'm running out of room here, so I better be very careful. They'll get 2 more agents back, and they'll get their shadow agent. Red gets their shadow agent, and that is going to be it for all of our players right there. We will advance this token right here. Red will go ahead and recruit their 2 agents. Now we need to figure out exactly what we want to do on our turn. Now before red takes their turn, I need to remember to take back our agents from the prior round. So blue will get these 2 agents, plus since they have the Unified Nations, they're going to get 1 more agent. Yellow will gain 1 agent from the card, and then 1 agent from the Unified Nations. Now red can go ahead and take their turn. Actually, red needs to get 1 agent back also. So now we'll start the turn with red, and now red needs to figure out exactly what they want to do for their turn to get the victory points that they're looking for to advance and get a lot of cool things. I know basically what I want to do with red, it's just the trick is making it happen. And I have the governments, which I needed. I have that. I actually have everything I needed for red so far to work on the victory points that I want to get for the red player. And I think I know exactly what I want to do here. And I know exactly what I'm going to do here. We are going to go ahead and claim a Man of Action card for us, which means that instead of taking our recruitment of the 2 free agents that we would have got for having the supervisor, we're going to go ahead and take our first Man of Action card. Now I haven't been taking too many of these because I'm trying to show you the basic gameplay of the game, but I also want to show you these cards because they can be a lot of fun. So we don't show the other players when we get them, but we have got the Emissary card, which says, as a free action, I can carry out a covert operation for 1 agent less, which can be very nice because that's going to give us some extra victory points. And we see that we're already getting 8 victory points. 10, 12, all the way down to 16 victory points if we play this very, very nicely. So that's a good card for us to have. So we'll go ahead and stick that in our hand. We'll go over to the yellow player, and the yellow player, try and remember, again, I'm trying to control 3 players here, trying to remember the strategies I'm working on without confusing myself too much and remembering exactly what I want to do. We are going to claim the inner circle and hopefully hope beyond hope that we're not going to be bumped off of it again. And then finally the blue player, remembering exactly what we want, I believe we want a blue card, which is what we do want. So blue does have the ability to, no, actually blue cannot claim that blue card just yet, but they'll be able to get it next turn as long as nobody takes it away from them, because remember we have the crime syndicate, so we want as many sets of blue, yellow, and red as we can to get the extra victory points at the end of the game. So we are going to look and see that we don't want the inner circle. Actually, we kind of do want that inner circle, but I don't think we want the inner circle as badly as we want the fact that we want those yellow. I believe we want yellow very, very badly. Yes, we want yellow. So we are going to simply just claim 1 yellow very easily, and that'll be it for all of our players. We'll simply take the cards back for all of our players. 1 will go right there, and then we'll stick this inner circle card right here because we don't actually need to attach it to anything just yet. We want to make sure we're hedging our bets. Blue will take this valuables card, and we're working towards a strategy right there with our yellows, and we'll gain that agent back. This will come right here, making sure I'm not confusing myself, because again, I'm controlling 3 players here at the exact same time, and everybody will gain their agents. And I believe that's it. Hopefully I'm not missing any actions or anything like that right now, because I am trying to do this as efficiently as possible. We'll go over here. Yellow will claim their agent. Actually, yellow is also going to take a men of action card because we are going to look at what we can get here. So we're going to get the Mediator. It says choose an objective card from the discard pile, put as many agents to the recruitment pool as required for its infiltration, and take this objective card. That's actually absolutely amazing, because I do believe we need mass media. Oh, we do need mass media. That was actually a perfect card for us. So we are going to take this. Mass media requires 1 agent, and we're going to go in and claim it. So we're going to use the Mediator. It says choose an objective card from the discard pile, which is mass media. And we're going to apply as many agents as a recruitment pool as required for the infiltration, and we're going to take it. So we'll discard this. That was actually very, very nice. That made me very happy. That was actually a perfect card for me. We'll stick that card right there, and then we would have put 1 agent onto that card, and we are actually sitting very nicely. Now let's go over to the blue player, and I do believe we need blue, right? Yep, we need blue. So we'll simply take, actually we got to consider what red is doing. Let's watch what red is doing and see how well we can do this now. We need to play very, very smart at this point. I believe we are going to go after red? No. Universities. We got universities covered. We are sitting very nicely. So we're just going to err on the side of caution and hope this is enough, and hope that red is not going to take that away from us. Red is simply going to claim an agent. No, actually, they're not going to claim an agent. Tough calls. We don't want to claim an agent yet. We're going to actually take the peace initiatives because we are going to do some covert operations thanks to this card that we have right here. So that's going to influence some of our strategies. So blue will take this card. 1 of the agents will go back. The second agent will go back thanks to the fact that we have the Unified Nations. We'll take our secret agent back, and we now have our patents. We now have our labs. And we now have a good amount of victory points agent going for us right now. Thanks to everything we have, we're actually looking pretty darn good. This is almost into the round though. We're approaching into the round, and now it is the blue player's turn. They don't have any agents to claim, unfortunately, but we're not going to lose out on this wonderful opportunity, so we are also going to claim a Men of Action card. Never lose out on a good opportunity to go ahead and gain some special powers and special abilities. So we're going to gain the Power Broker, or as I like to call it, the Clint Eastwood card. I know it's not Clint Eastwood. It's Clint Eastwood because it looks cool. Anyways, it says free action. Advance in any project for 1 agent less. Well, that is just beyond awesome. And Wow, that could be very, very nice, because I can pretty much guarantee that we're almost probably going to have a world war in the next stack of cards, which means that we don't have to worry about that cost. Oh, that is going to be really phenomenal and very, very awesome for us. So we now get to take our action with the blue player. Now we have lots of options here, and I am thinking, looking at this syndicate card right here, we are simply going to claim that ruling parties card, and we're going to kind of guarantee that we are going to get that ruling parties card, because we want it for the victory point bonus thanks to the crime syndicate, which will give us lots of bonuses towards that if we get the sets, because we're working on those sets very, very nicely. So over to the red player. The red player is going to use this emissary card as a free action, carry out a covert operation for 1 agent less. So that's a free action, so we're going to take our actual action of claiming an agent. We will discard that as our free action. So normally this would cost us 6 agents. We have 2 right here, so we need 4 more. -1 is only 3, so we're going to spend only 3 agents to claim 8 victory points, which is really darn awesome. It's going to be even awesomer in a second, because it's actually only going to cost me 1 agent, which is why I've been working towards this route. So now we come over to the yellow player. The yellow player is not getting this symbol anytime soon, so let's just go ahead and claim the 1 agent right there. And I don't think I've forgotten anything, and if I had, leave comments in the comments below. Again, this is a challenging game to control 3 players at the same time. I'm sure I made at least 1 or 2 mistakes, but again, the objective here is to let you see how the game plays. So blue will claim this card. Again, this is all victory points for blue. Blue will get 1 other agents back, plus they're going to get 1 more other agents back thanks to the Unified Nations Power card. We will put this card right here, again working towards more multiples of victory points. We want another blue card. That's going to be 3 victory points for us. Now we're going to come over to the red player. Oops, let's do yellow really quick. So yellow gain that, and then yellow gain that. Plus yellow will gain 1 more from the piece right there, which will be very nice. Now the red player will normally gain 1 agent back, but since they have the peace initiatives, they're going to gain 1 more agent. So we're only going to discard 1 whole agent just for 8 victory points. That's a phenomenal return. And if we can keep cycling through that, we're going to get 10, 12, all the way to 16 victory points. So that can be extremely powerful, and it's a really good strategy if that's what you want to work for. One of the many strategies for the game. Now, I'm going to draw another hand of cards just to show you the next round. Whoops, let's go and do this properly. We're going to get corporations, a really good card. We're going to get spy agencies. We're going to get labor unions. I already know who wants labor unions. We're going to get the inner circle. We're going to get mass media. We are going to get corporations. We're going to get mass media. And our final card is going to be banks. Now, that does tell us that in the very final round of the game, there's going to be 1 more war, so all of our players should factor that into our strategies. We have lots of good cards out here. We have lots of powerful abilities. We have lots of combinations, and we see all of our players are looking for various things to start working towards the victory points and the treaties that I should have did before I revealed the stack. But I'm pretty much ending this video right here anyways, and that's why I'm doing it. So the whole purpose of this video was just to give you a quick idea and a quick overview of exactly how Deep State actually plays. Now my plan for this for this whole video series is do a live playthrough of Deep State with a couple of my friends. So you're not going to listen to me rambling and making horrible play decisions. You're actually going to see people who are really trying to win, not trying to show you gameplay, actually trying to defeat the other players. So the point is, I'm going to try to add that video to add it to the series. This video itself will just complement my other videos, my tutorial video, my quick overview, my actual review of the game when all those videos are going to be put up. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoy this video series. If you have any comments or questions, make sure you leave them down in the YouTube comments below. I'll be sure to get to them as quickly as I can. As always, if you like this video and this video series, click that like button, click that subscribe button, and as always, thanks for watching.